This was a Supreme Court justice and the sitting president of the United States and another Supreme Court justice creating a campaign ad in violation of the Hatch Act on the White House lawn.
I, Amy Coney Barrett, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support
Now, they've taken a lot of criticism for this.
the United States.
Because if you'll remember, we streamed the event in the Rose Garden,
All enemies,
what, 3 Saturdays ago?
That I will bear true faith
4 Saturdays ago when they actually nominated
I will
her.
bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
that I take this obligation
We have found out that was absolutely a super spreader event.
without any mental
And then they did it again. They brought her to the White House in another Rose Garden ceremony with people not wearing masks.
faithfully discharge
And that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties of the office on
He
which
said duty.
I am about to enter.
the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And she occupies Ruth Bader Ginsburg's chambers now. But of course she does.
Thank you so very much.
That's the empty chambers.
Thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you, President Trump, for selecting me to serve as an Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court. It's a privilege to be asked to serve my country in this office, and I stand here tonight truly honored and humbled. Thanks also to the Senate for giving its consent to my appointment.
Completely partisan.
For the confidence you have expressed in me.
Not only did she not garner a Democratic vote,
and to the American
a Republican voted against
that I
her.
will discharge my duties to the very best of my ability. This was a
So,
rigorous confirmation,
the people voting against her were bipartisan.
especially Leader McConnell,
The people
Chairman
confirming her were partisan.
to navigate it.
The first justice in over a century
Members of the White House
that didn't receive a vote from the opposing party.
who worked tirelessly to support me through this process. Your stamina is remarkable, and I have been the beneficiary of it. Jesse and I are also so
She's certainly not a very good public speaker, is she?
who have supported
Which is odd. She was a teacher. She spent the majority of her career teaching. She's only been on the bench for 3 years.
You have made this
And she's only on the bench,
Jesse and I
or she was on the federal appellate court,
generosity.
because the Senate had blocked Obama's
Over the last
appointees
both in meetings
for the seat that she
senators
occupied.
and in days of hearings before
Sound familiar?
the Judiciary Committee. The confirmation process
So as we get ready to talk about the backlash that Republicans are going to face because of this, keep that in mind.
federal judiciary and the United States Senate. And perhaps the most acute is the role of policy preferences. It is the job of a senator to pursue her policy preferences. In fact, it would be a dereliction of duty for her to put policy goals aside. By contrast, it is the job of a judge to resist her policy preferences.
But they're putting her on the court to overturn the ACA, to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Stand for election
They're putting her on the court because of her policy preferences.
that their preferences reflect those of the people. This
And we're going to get a lot of rulings,
separates
supposedly about religious freedom.
the judiciary.
It's going to be about religious people imposing on your rights.
A judge declares independence not only from Congress and the president, but also
She says this when dark money from organizations like the Federalist Society are 100% behind her nomination and pushing her confirmation through.
from the private beliefs that might otherwise move her. The judicial
Like your religious beliefs?
captures the essence of the judicial duty. The rule of law must always control. My fellow Americans, even though we judges don't face elections, we still work for you. It is your Constitution that establishes the rule of law and the judicial
6 of the 9 judges were appointed
central to it.
by presidents who didn't win the popular vote.
I have solemnly taken tonight means at its core that I will do my job without any
Work for the American people, my ass.
and that I will do so independently of both the political branches and of my own preferences.
They put her on there for her preferences.
Democratic Republic that
And we're going to see it November 10th, I believe it is where they take up the ACA. It's getting struck down. It's going to bite Republicans in the ass. They don't even realize it. Now, apparently, Chuck Schumer, who I've never been a fan of, has decided to grow a pair of balls. Because finally, first of all, they boycotted the final vote in the Judiciary Committee. Thank you. You should have boycotted the whole thing. Dianne Feinstein shouldn't have been in there hugging Lindsey Graham. We don't want your ad. So, Chris Murphy said, I know that there's a lot of speculation about what Democrats will do if Democrats are given control of the Senate. Will Democrats go to new extraordinary lengths to maximize their power, given the extraordinary lengths Republicans have gone to maximize their power? This is not a conversation that is ripe enough yet, but what do Republicans expect? This is from Chris Murphy. Senator Sheldon Whitehouse has said Republicans will rue the day. Chuck Schumer said the Republican majority is lighting its credibility on fire. God damn. I've been covering politics for 20 years now. What fucking credibility have the Republicans ever had? At least in my lifetime. This isn't the days of Tip O'Neill reaching across the aisle. Fuck no. We're in the political era of the Newt Gingriches and the Bill O'Reillys, the fucking idiot-ass talking heads that run the Republican Party and don't think they don't. Sean Hannity is probably President Trump's closest advisor. The next time the American people give Democrats a majority in this chamber, you will have forfeited the right to tell us how to run that majority. Thank you, Schumer. Where's this attitude been for 20 fucking years, dude? Senator Dick Durbin. Republicans will regret the consequences of taking the Senate down this path. Thank God they're talking like they're actually going to do something, but I mean, do I expect them to go as hard at the Republicans as they did, I don't know, Bernie Sanders in the primary? Fuck no. But at least they are signaling that they will. And pre-election, that makes me feel a lot better about what they do plan on doing after the election. Because if they're signaling this before the election, that would appear that they believe that it's a winning strategy, which it is. The American people like people with balls. They like people to stand up for what's right. That's one of the reasons why Democrats have gotten trounced for so long. They seem feckless and ineffectual. They are a lot of the times. Because that's what their corporate donors want. Right-wingers are morons, whether there's a D or an R out from their name. It's unclear if Democrats, even if they win back the majority, would have the votes within their caucus to expand the Supreme Court. That's one of the things that worries me, is there are going to be Democrats lobbying to hold that up from more red states. that will be worried about their re-election chances and not want to go along with the party. It's also, when you're in the majority party and you can hold up shit, you hold a lot of power. So if you're one of the blue dog Democrats, like a Joe Manchin or something like that you have to be coerced to go along with the Democratic line, you hold a lot of power. Fuck Joe Manchin. Angus King, the Independent. Oh no, somebody is talking about breaking the rules and packing the court. And as he points out, the Constitution does not say how many justices have to be on the court. So, they're not going to do anything unconstitutional. I want them to pack the courts just to see dumbass right-wingers' heads explode. Now, speaking of coming up on the election, apparently the numbnuts over at Fox, who haven't been taking the COVID seriously, are going to have to change their plans coming up on election night. Unlike me, who knows exactly when he's broadcasting, Fox News doesn't even know who they're going to have available on election night because it appears there has been a breakout of the COVID in the Fox studios. Now, of course, it's not going to affect Tucker Carlson because he's been doing a show from his home since the start of this. They actually built him a really nice set. You can't even tell that he's not in the Fox studios. Unlike somebody like Stephen Colbert, who's just sitting beside a window in his house. Several top Fox News stars have raised alarm among the network and staffers who feel some of their colleagues didn't take the crisis seriously. I mean, what was it Steve Ducey that said he didn't even believe in washing his hands? Before the pandemic started, he said he didn't believe in washing his hands because he couldn't see germs. They put this motherfucker on television. I'd say millions of people, but like that's not how many people watch Fox. There's a few 100,000 at any given time. I think some of their primetime shows might bring in 2 or 3 million. That's one of the things people think television is extremely powerful. But all in all, like the Fox News viewership isn't that large. People who watch television, I mean, the audience for television just isn't that large anymore. But it kind of it throws you off when you hear like exactly the number. Like any given time during the day, Fox News has a few 100,000, 600, 700,000 watching. You wouldn't think that, would you? CNN's probably more. CNN probably tops 1 million at any given time. They're on in a lot of like airports, doctors' offices and shit. It's been planning its election coverage for weeks, of course, prepping staff and on-air talent. But now Fox faces uncertainty after the network's president and many of its key on-air stars have been exposed to COVID-19. On Sunday, the New York Times reported that top Fox News executives and talent will quarantine and get tested after flying on a network-chartered flight from Nashville to New York. I guess that was after the debate. No, I had not seen that, but I had seen Christy Alley. Turned out she was a Trumper, and was it George Takei responded back with a Klingon meme or something? I don't really know that much about the Star Trek. Said that's not logical. I was always a big fan of Christy Alley, though, so that breaks my heart. So yet another debate has turned into a super spreader event. I'm convinced that Trump is going to get it again. Now, we've been on
Trump dies of COVID watch.
But apparently he's beat it the first time. But my God, he's doing his best to give it to himself again, as we mentioned with the Rose Garden event last night. And how many fucking rallies has he had? And it came out today that several of the rallies have had cases traced back to them. Just like I said, Trump is getting the exact people he needs to vote for him sick to where they're not going to be able to go to the polls on election day. He's done everything he can to lose this election. However, there are still people in the government like Bill Barr, Mitch McConnell, who's trying to pack the Supreme Court, has packed the Supreme Court. They're going to try to steal the election. So do we know any names? Passengers included Brett Baer, Dana Perino, Juan Williams. So they haven't been confirmed, but those were people that were on the flight. They have multiple contingency plans in place and always have backup plans for all scenarios. Wallace and CEO Suzanne Scott acknowledged that some staffers had tested positive for COVID-19 and said that the network would reduce staff in buildings and implement enhanced testing procedures. Last week, an internal memo was sent to Fox News staffers noting that web video producer Rob Brown, who had been with the network since 1999, had died. And he died from coronavirus complications.